Hey, Mike with Mike's Bags, and today we're going to break down the fast bracket of the Big Asp Cornhole Podcast 2024 Best of the Bags. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll do a quick recap. I had the honor of being invited to join Sean and Dane on the Big Asp Cornhole Podcast last week as they did their Best of the Bags draft. It's something they do every year. It's like a March Madness tournament for cornhole bags. They do it. They actually have 3 brackets this year, and it all takes place on their Facebook page. So down in the description there's a link to their Facebook page. You're going to be part. You want to make sure you like their Facebook page so you can participate in the voting, because the matchups are decided by you. You guys get to vote on who wins, what bag wins, what bag advances, and you can vote on the bags you like. You can vote against the bags you don't like. You can vote however you want to vote to get bags to advance, but it's all relies upon you guys going to their Facebook page and voting these brackets. And then you also want to go down and click on the link to their podcast, subscribe to their podcast, and then go at least download the episode last week that I was on and give that a listen, because that's where we do the draft. We do a lot of breakdown of Sean does a better breakdown of the brackets, how it's going to work. He's a lot more details of that, as well as you get to hear kind of the bags we pick and some of the reasons why we do. So go check that out. Anyway, if you haven't checked that out, and then also go back and watch the slow bracket breakdown I did just a few days ago. Let's go ahead and dive in this fast bracket. I don't want to waste a lot of time. So as I did before in the slow bracket, the blue, in some cases I had 2 different picks. The blue is the pick that I think I want to pick, kind of my heart pick. And then every now and then I would do a red, which was my head pick. It's like, you know what, I want this to win, but I'm really pretty sure that the red one's going to win. So I'm going to go through here. We'll start with the number 1 overall seed, which is the Pro Sniper by Lucky Bags. In fact, the Pro Sniper won the Best of the Bags for 2023. So they're in the number 1 seed here against the Flux Tracer. Pro Sniper moves there. You got the Space Monkey by TNT and the Phenom by Young Guns. I don't know anything about either one of those bags, but I'm going to advance the Space Monkey. I've heard a lot of good things about that. So then we move down. We have the King Cheetah from Gladiator against the Fallen by 21 Problems. I don't know anything about the Fallen at all. The King Cheetah was the bag that Mark Richards Lopez made famous a few years ago. So we're going to stick with the King Cheetah. More of you probably know that. More of you really have heard of Gladiator. They're probably going to get the votes to move on there. Then we have the Razor War Pig against the Gnarly Vanish. I'm picking the Gnarly Vanish. Really love the bag. It's a really great, unique, fast bag. If you haven't thrown it, give it a try. So the Vanish moves on there. Then we have, here's my first tough one here, is the WMD by 724 and the NOLA Jester. And I struggle with this, and I'm the one that drafted the WMD, but I'm looking at that going, man, I don't know where 724's following is right now. Like before they went ACL stamped, they had a huge following. They would come together and they would really push them through. I don't know, and I don't know how much 724 cares about this as far as them promoting it themselves. I don't know if it really matters to them. So my heart says the Jester wins, but part of my head says WMD has done well. In fact, they were in the finals like a couple years ago, if I remember correctly. The WMD was there, so it's a great bag. I love the WMD, probably my favorite 724 bag. And my heart says move the Jester, my head says move the WMD, so it just depends on where the 724 followers are as to what advances there. Then we have the Double Slick by Magnum and the Howl by Big Wolf. I don't know anything about either one of those bags. I'm going with the Howl because it's the higher seed. Then we have the Contraband Cutthroat versus the BG Witcher. Here's another one where, personally, I like the Cutthroat better. I like both bags. They're really great bags. I like the Cutthroat better than the Witcher. So I put the Cutthroat there. I think BG just has a bigger following than Contraband right now, and I can't see the Witcher actually losing that. So my head says Witcher, heart says Cutthroat. And then we have the Blueprint Pro versus the Big D Maryland. I'm picking the Maryland. Absolutely love that bag. Now, going to the next round, we're moving on to advance to the Sweet 16 here, and I got the Pro Sniper beating the Space Monkeys going to Sweet 16. I have the Vanish beating the King Cheetah. I've got the Jester or the WMD, whichever one moves, that one is moving on past the Howl, I think. And then I have Maryland beating the Cutthroat or the Witcher. And now, from the Sweet 16 on into the Elite 8, so my heart wants to put the Vanish. If I had to pick between the Vanish and the Pro Sniper, both are great bags. I reviewed them both. I really like both bags. To me, I think I would want to throw the Vanish. My heart's saying put the Vanish there. My head says the Pro Sniper has a huge following. Lucky Bags does. I think the Pro Sniper wins, so that's kind of why I have the split there. And then going down, my heart wants the Maryland. Again, if I had to pick between the Maryland or the WD, the Jester, I'm picking the Maryland. And not because the other bags are bad. It's because I just really love the Maryland that much. I would have no problem throwing any one of those bags. I got the Maryland there. But my head says that 724 still has a following, and they might just push that WD through. And I don't really know where Big D sets right now for their supporters. So I'm not sure if they're going to have the push. I mentioned the slow bracket about them having some TCL support still, that maybe it'll be there. So part of me is kind of like head and heart Maryland, but there's part of my head says no, that WD is moving on. So anyway, and then advancing from there, I think Honestly, my head says Pro Sniper. I just can't see the Pro Sniper losing up until this point. I think it's going to make it into the Final Four bracket pretty easily. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. But then again, bigger upsets have happened this tournament before. My heart wants the Maryland there. I think if the WMD goes there, I think the WMD loses. If the Maryland goes there, I think the Maryland could pull an upset. It's going to be a big upset, but heart says Maryland, head says Pro Sniper, so one of those two is in the Final Four. Moving down to the Southwest bracket here, we got the Reynolds Fracture, the #1 seed against the Ace by High Rollers. The Fracture's moving on there. The Killshot P90 versus the Greyfin Hammerhead. I've got the P90 moving on there. And then we got the Inferno C from Dragon Bags against the 313 from Mother Shuckers. Inferno C advancing. Game Time versus the Cooper's Bag Slinger. I got the Game Time moving on. Now here we go. Here's my first upset down here. Siva Serpent against Olympus Hades. I really didn't know from these two. Honestly, I was kind of torn, and I'm really not familiar with either one of these bags. So I was kind of looking at going, where is the support going to come from? I think Siva has some support. Olympus has a ton of support in the TCL. The Hades, I don't know how popular the Hades is there, so my heart is kind of saying Hades. I probably should have put the head pick, maybe the Serpent, I don't know. But I got the Hades going there just because of the TCL push from Olympus. We'll see what happens there. I don't really have a preference either way. I just had to kind of make a pick, and that was why. Then we have the Cornslingers Phoenix against the Noble Melt. This is where, again, if I had to pick, I'm picking the Phoenix. The Phoenix, I think, is the bag I would choose between those two. And again, I reviewed the Melt. I like the Melt. It's a really good bag. But my heart says Phoenix. I just don't know if there's enough support for Cornslingers. I mean, they're a great bag in the ACO. I don't know how many ACL players actually know about them. So Noble being an ACL bag, I think there's more people there. So we'll see how it turns out. So heart says Phoenix, head says Melt. Then we move down Short Shot Loco versus Brammy's Bags Vivid. I got the Loco moving on only because I think Sure Shot just has a bigger following, more people are aware of it, then more people just go vote, oh, I've heard of the Loco, I'm going to vote that bag. And then we have the Octane Carbon against the Titan Devastator. Again, I reviewed the Carbon, really liked that bag. I think Titan has just a huge following. The Devastator's moving on. Let's move some bags over into the Sweet 16 here. Fracture versus P90. Fracture, I think, wins that. Inferno C versus Game Time. I'm banking on AAR using their pro power. They have a lot of pro players, elite pro players they signed this year. I'm banking on them caring about this and using their pros to promote them. So Game Time moving on Sweet 16 there. Hades versus the Phoenix or Melt. So again, heart says Phoenix. I want the Phoenix to move on. I think if the Melt goes there, I think the Hades beats the Melt. Hades probably moves on anyway, but I want the Phoenix. I'm rooting for the. I'm always rooting for the smaller companies, or not always. Most of the time rooting for smaller companies. I want a smaller company to win this. I would love to see that Phoenix make a run in this bracket here. Loco versus Devastator. Move the Devastator on. The Titans, I think, is just going to be too powerful early on. So Devastator in the Sweet 16. Then we're going to move into send a team to the Elite 8. Fracture versus Game Time. Reynolds is big, but again, I'm banking on AAR coming in full force, and they've got more support than I think. I could be totally wrong. AAR may just not care about this at all, and they could fall flat. But I'm banking on the Game Time beating the Fracture out. I wouldn't be surprised either one bag. But again, we're going now Elite 8. There's a lot of great bags. I'm putting the Game Time there. Devastator versus Phoenix or Hades. I think the Devastator moves on there. And then we got the Devastator versus the Game Time. Again, banking on AAR here to have a big showing, putting them in. I would not be shocked to see the Devastator go to the Final Four there. Let's go over here to the Northeast bracket. And we have the #1 seed in the Northeast is the Ultra Viper against the Heavy Hands P4P. And I get the Viper moving on. It's Ultra. They're going to bring the people in. I don't see them losing that first round. Although there is a lot of anti-ultra vote out there, so maybe that shows up. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see the Heavy Hands bag move on. I really would. Another small company a lot of you haven't heard of, but I think it would be awesome to see them beat a big-time bag like the Viper, but I just don't see that happening. Then we have the Enfuego versus the Enigma. Love the Enigma. It's a great bag. 17 makes some really good bags, and they're actually ACL stamped now. If you don't know that, go check them out. Got the Enigma moving on there. We have the Cat 3 versus the Vision from Asp Cornhole, and this is one where my heart wants the Vision, and Cornhole Scenario makes good bags. I've done reviews recently. I don't think their bags are as good as they were. Now they're kind of outsourcing a lot of their production, and the price is just, they price themselves out of a lot of the players' hands. So a lot of players don't throw their bags because they don't want to pay the price for them. And I just think there's a lot of anti-cornhole scenario people out there, and I can see them just coming together and pushing the vision through and knocking the Cat 3 out. So heart says vision. My head says the Cat 3 should have enough support that it should move on there. Then we have the propulsion by Bridge Road against the B3 Ranger. I got the Ranger moved. I don't know anything about Bridge Road at all. I haven't thrown any of their bags. I love the Ranger. I'm moving the Ranger on there. Fly Banshee versus the Rocket Bags Voodoo again. Don't know anything about Rocket Bags. I love the Fly Banshee. Great bag. Moving that on. And Fly has a really good following, really loyal following there. Then we have, here's another upset for you. We got the Jinx by Noble against the Ninja Smoke. I'm relying on Ninja's followers to really come in and step up big. And I feel like Ninja, and I'm speculating here, having not participated in this before other than being a voter, I don't really know all the followings. I feel like Ninja's got a bigger following than Noble. I could be wrong, could be way off on that, but I'm moving the Smoke on because I think Ninja's got a lot of people. They're going to want to see their bags move on. So Smoke moves there. The Logic Forza versus the Alpha Bags Trooper, and I'm moving the Logic, the Forza over. That was a coin flip. I really don't have any reasons other than I just kind of took the higher seed there. And then we have the Ultra Psycho X, the Cosmos Redhead. Would love to see the Cosmos bag move on here. I really do. And not because it's anti-Ultra, but I've reviewed some bags of Cosmos. I love what they're doing. They make great bags. Another small company that you guys need to be aware of. Go check them out. But I just think Ultra's too big here. The Psycho X is going to move on. Now, going into the next round, we got the Viper versus the Enigma. My heart wants the Enigma to move on. I really love the 710 bags. And honestly, if I had to pick from those two bags, I would pick the Enigma personally over the Viper. Not saying the Viper is bad, but just because I think the Enigma is that good. But my head says the Viper is like Ultra's got the following. They're moving on. I think Ultra's going to push pretty hard in this bracket this year to make some noise and push their bags through. Then we have the Vision or the Cat 3 going against the Ranger. Again, this is a pick where if I had to pick one of those bags, I'm picking the Ranger to throw myself. That's why I moved that on. I almost put the Cat 3 there, but I don't know. I think there's just too much anti-cornhole people out there. I don't know if the Cat 3 can make it into Sweet 16 here, so I'm putting the Ranger there, and I'm going to leave that. We got the Banshee versus the Smoke. I think, again, both really good bags, but I'm putting the Banshee in there. I really like the Banshee, and Fly's got a huge following, so we're putting the Banshee there. And then we got the Forza versus the Psycho X. Again, Ultra's moved the Psycho X in. So now we're going to put a bag into the Elite 8 here, Enigma versus Ranger. And I moved the Ranger on there. It's going to be interesting how that plays out. Honestly, my head says Viper. I think Viper's still moving on. But heart-wise, I put the Ranger there because, again, if I had to pick those two bags, I'm throwing the Ranger. Both good bags. I just like the Ranger that much better. And then the Banshee versus the Psycho X. I'm moving the Banshee, and I really am believing in Fly. They made a big run with the Magic last year, and I really think they're going to come out again this year and push for their bag. So, and the Psycho X is that linen slow side. It's kind of controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it. So it's not as popular as that Viper or the Viper R bag that Ultra has. So I could see that Psycho X falling off here. So Banshee, Ranger, Elite 8. I got the Banshee moving to Final 4. But as you can see, my head says the Viper. Ultra, I think is going to come out strong here. So we'll see. But I think Fly could beat them. If it was the Banshee versus the Viper, I think Fly could possibly do it. So I'm rooting for the Banshee there. And then down to the southeast bracket, we got the Gambler by the Bag Brokers against the Bushi from Name Brand. I got the Gambler moving on. That bag made a big run last year in this tournament, and it's a very popular bag in the TCL. And I think it's going to keep. I think it's going to make a good showing again this year. Then we have the Fire Incinerator against the Strive Mufasa. Again, I'm not sure what's going on with Strive. Haven't heard much about them recently. I don't know if there's any followers out there right now. So the Incinerator's moving on there. The Burley Supremacy versus the Nova from MN Tailgate, and I'm taking the Burley Supremacy. Two bags I haven't thrown myself personally, don't know a lot about, but I've heard really good things about Supremacy, so we're moving that on. Then we have the Gator Bags Untamed. Again, on the bag, I don't know much about Gator Bags, never threw theirs yet. It's amazing how many bags here. As many bags I reviewed, how many I go through and go, wow, I've never thrown those bags at all. It just shows you how many great bags there are out there. So the Gator Bags Untamed versus Southwest Bougie. Love the Bougie. Wonderful bag. I reviewed it. You got to check it out. So I moved the Bougie on there. WTF Zulu versus the Big Daddy Ivy. I think WTF just has a bigger following. The Zulu's moving on there. The Sub-Zero Tempest versus the Black Flag Bounty. Now this is where Black Flag has a higher seed than the Tempest does. I feel like the Tempest is probably the favorite. I don't know. It's interesting to see. Personally, I think I'm moving the Bounty on. I really like that bag, and I like what Sub-Zero's doing. I haven't actually reviewed the Tempest. I haven't thrown that one yet, so I really can't speak to that. But everybody who's thrown it really loves it. So my head says the Tempest moves on because I feel like Sub-Zero has a pretty decent following. I just don't know how much. But I'm curious to see how Black Flag promotes in that Bounty. So I got the Bounty moving on there, and then we got the Vortex Zone against the Local Legends. I don't know what's happened to Local. I feel like I haven't heard much about them recently. I don't know what's going on there. So I just see Vortex is pushing that zone through. And then we have Lucky's Valor X against the All Cornhole Game Changer. I've never thrown Lucky's bags. They're big in the ACO. I've seen them throw. I would love to say the Valor X is going to move on there, but that Game Changer, even though people hate it, there are a lot of people that love it. It's really a good bag. If you haven't thrown it, it really is a good bag. And All Cornhole, it has a huge following. So I think the Game Changer moves on there. Now we'll go to the next round. We got the Gambler versus the Incinerator, and I'm moving the Gambler on here. Again, both are good bags. I really like that Gambler. I think the TCL support's coming out. That's a very popular bag. Moving the Gambler on. We get Supremacy versus Bougie, moving the Bougie on there. We got the Zulu versus the Bounty or the Tempest. I really feel it. I should have probably put my head pick down as the Zulu. I mean, because WTF has a really loyal following, and that's probably where I should have gone there, honestly, in my head. My heart still says Bounty. I think I would change that Tempest head pick to the Zulu head pick, honestly. Now that I think about it, I think that's where it's going to go. Zone versus Game Changer. Again, my heart wants the Zone, and it'd be curious to see how Vortex shows up on this, but head says Game Changers because they're that popular. Now, we're going to move some bags into the Elite 8 here, and I got the Gambler beating the Bougie. Again, that's more of a, I think the bag brokers and the TCL has a bigger following than probably Southwest has with the Bougie. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I think both bag companies are becoming more popular. We'll see how it goes. I'm okay with either bag advancing there. I just mainly put the Gambler in because that's one of the bags that I drafted. So we'll see what happens there. And then we got the Bounty, or actually the Bounty or the Zulu, I think I would have there against the Zone or the Game Changer. And I'm going to put, I put the Game Changer as my head pick. I do think the Game Changer is going. I think my heart, I still want the Bounty there. So that's kind of a heart versus head pick there. And then either one, I think the Gambler moves on to the Final Four from there. So into the Final Four, we've got the Maryland versus the Game Time, or Maryland or Pro Sniper, again, against the Game Time. My head says Pro Sniper. I have a hard time taking the Pro Sniper out. Lucky's got a huge following. The Pro Sniper is an incredible bag. It won this all last year. I don't know why it can't repeat. I'm kind of hoping for a different champion from a different company just to kind of spread the wealth. So, and as much as I really, really, really want to pick the Maryland because that is an incredible bag. I would love to see the Maryland. I think I've pushed it to put the Maryland in the Final Four. I just don't know if they've got the following to go on to the championship game. So I'm moving the Game Time in as my heart pick because I think AAR has enough to possibly overcome the Pro Sniper or even overcome the other side of the bracket to move in. So I have the Game Time going there. Banshee or the Viper versus the Gambler. My heart wants the Gambler. I really do want that to go in. My head says the Viper. It very well could be a Viper Pro Sniper, Lucky versus Ultra, two big-time bags in the championship, which would be kind of cool to have two big-time name brand bags, but also I would love to see a Maryland Banshee or a Gambler Game Time or Maryland Game, whatever. I love to see some of these other companies get in there, but so for me, if it's Gambler Game Time, I'm putting the Gambler in the championship, but if it's Ultra versus Lucky, I'm putting the Pro Sniper into the champion there. So those are my picks for the fast bracket. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Who do you think is coming out of this bracket? Which bag do you think is going to win this? Which bag do you want to win? And which bag do you think is going to win? And then if you have time, I'd love to hear your Final Four bags. Kind of look at the brackets, pick out your Final Four bags, and drop a comment down below. Drop a comment down below. Let me know who you think the champion is of this bracket. And then I said, add in that your Final Four picks you had time. Again, go check out the Big Asp Cornhole podcast, link down in the description. Subscribe to their podcast. Go download, and at least download and listen to the episode I was on last week for sure. But I think you'll stick around. If you like my content, you're going to like what they're putting out. And then also click on the link to their Facebook page and give that a like, follow along, because that's where this bracket will take place. It's on their Facebook page. You guys are going to do the voting. They'll be putting them up. And if you want to know more about how that works, go download that episode I was on last week of the podcast, and Sean breaks it down how it's going to work, and you'll get a better understanding what's going on there. So I thank you guys so much for your support, and I thank you for watching.